He's also playing Mistress Factory alongside Mutavault's 4 Cavernous Souls, no counter spells besides Force of Will. This is a very different take on the deck.
And the jig is up right away. A turn 1 Curse Catcher lets you know exactly what's going on.
Well, it's very rare your opponent goes turn 1 Curse Catcher, turn 2 Chalice for 1. So we will see momentarily. And Chalice is very good against Blue-Red Delver, of course.
Yes.
Andrew's deck flushed with 1 mana spells.
Gataxian Probe, let's see some info. Unless Jonathan doesn't want him to.
Oh yeah, he can.
A little Curse Catcher. And he says, all right, fine.
Ooh,
All right. Another Curse Catcher, a Chalice of the Void, a Phantasmal Image ×2, and a Force of Will. A 1-lander. Interesting.
And if I'm Andrew right now, I'm thinking, what is going on with this hand?
Yeah, I've not seen anything like this before. What kind of hijinks are you up to?
I mean, Chalice for, if Jonathan draws a land next turn, Chalice for 1 with Curse Catcher and Force of Will backup is an incredible opening against Blue-Red Delver. At that point, the cards that Andrew can cast in his deck are 4 copies of Snapcaster Mage, 4 copies of Force of Will, and 2 copies of Price of Progress. That is it. Everything else is uncastable. They're all 1-mana spells.
Yikes.
So this is really dangerous for Andrew, obviously.
Arid Mesa. I'm going to go sacrificing. We'll see what we find. Will it be volcanic? It will. And let's see if it's going to be a Delver here. And looks like maybe dropped a card. We'll see. Maybe he's also just had enough of Magic today.
Yeah.
5-0 was good enough for him. Well, he dropped a few cards. Jeez.
Yeah. Sees the Chalice, just doesn't even want to play.
Yeah, can't really beat it anyway. So there's that. Now he will shuffle up with his Blue-Red Delver deck that is 5-0 with. Been chopping people up. Wins a lot with this deck, does Schneider.
And Merfolk with Chalice of the Void. Again, Jonathan, this is no round 1 feature match. We're at 5-0 at this point. Chalice, one of the more powerful cards in Legacy that's hard to put into decks, of course, because so much of the format is defined by 1-mana stuff.
There's a Delver's Secrets. Looking to flip in a bit, but we'll see what ends up happening here. Aiken, gonna cast a Force of Will. Removing a Phantasmal Image.
Casting the Force of Will here. If he assumes this Chalice is going to lock or close to it, Andrew, then he definitely cares about a 3-power flyer.
The Curse Catcher protection will probably get the job done. See if he picks up a land. Does not look to be the case here, so just gonna be a Curse Catcher here for Aiken. And then probably attack with the other one. So Schneider's going to go down to 16.
Not the draw I'm sure Jonathan was hoping for.
Nah.
I mean, look at Andrew's hand. It's just, this deck is not that robust against the card Chalice of the Void. You rarely see it. And in fact, we had Andrew on camera before. His sideboard artifact removal wasn't even smashed to smithereens. It smelt.
Yep.
He's as soft to this card as it gets.
Ponder's going to get Curse Catchered. He says to pass the turn back. Aiken hoping to draw a land here, and he does. It is a Cavernous Souls. That is a Chalice of the Void for 1. This is a Force of Will, removing what looks to be a Brainstorm. Curse Catcher's going to counter that. There's a Chalice for 1, and we'll see if Schneider can win now. It's going to be mighty difficult to do.
Again, 4 Snapcaster Mage, 4 copies of Force of Will, 2 copies of Price of Progress. The rest of his deck is 1-mana spells.
He has 5 1-mana spells in his hand right now. Does Schneider? Aiken going to play a 2-2.
That's going to be good enough.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Now, here's the fun thing about Chalice of the Void. It's your card, so you have to remember the trigger. So I am perfectly fine with him casting spells, because if you don't remember, you look like the spell resolves. And this is actually something that Reed Duke, I believe, had a Chalice of the Void casting against him, I think when he was playing Elves or something, and he just kept casting his 1-drops, and eventually the opponent just forgot once, and I think Reed actually went on to go win the game. So, you know, again, it's your effect, and it's a trigger that goes on the stack, and it's your job to remember it.
Yeah, so Andrew tested the waters there, saw if Jonathan was paying attention, which he was, and it's not really that much fun to sit there and draw spells you can't cast for the rest of the game. So,
well, you can't cast them.
Well, not resolve them. You can't resolve them. So Jonathan off to a quick game 1 win here on the back of Chalice of the Void.
Both players go to the sideboards. We'll do the same. Mr. Sullivan, you've got Blue-Red Delver in front of you.
A Price of Progress, 2 Fluster Storm, 2 Smelt, 2 Sulfuric Vortex, 2 Pyroblast, 3 Lava Spike, 3 Surgical Extractions. Give me those Pyroblasts and the Fluster Storms probably as well. Not a lot, really. I mean, he's already got the 2 Grim Lava Monster's main, so not a lot of sideboard action for this matchup. And the Smelt's, like, again, not really an answer to Chalice of the Void. Void.
Yeah, take a look at the other side here. 2 Tormodus Scripts, 2 Graph Digger's Cages, a Pithing Needle, 2 Swan Songs, a Hurkyl's Recall, an Echoing Truth, and a Gate, a Mindbreak Track, 2 Dismember, and 2 Back to Basics. Like Dismember, actually, take care of Delver. Can also take care of all the creatures, honestly. Grim Lavamancer, Goblin Guide, all that stuff. You do pay a little bit of a price to do that, but I think it's actually worth it to take care of Delver Secrets. That one's probably the most important. The other cards here are actually not all that exciting. Negate's kind of cool. Echoing Truth seems like it's just okay. I don't think I really care for anything else over here, though. I actually think this is a good matchup for Merfolk.
It seems very good. I think that Merfolk is better against Lightning Bolt tempo decks than people give it credit for, because you can overwhelm that kind of stuff. It's not that hard. And especially when Chalice for 1 is a haymaker against your opponent, which it certainly is against Andrew, I think the match is pretty positive. I agree he's going to want Dismember. His deck is a little weak to Delver Secrets and is definitely weak to Grim Lavamancer, so a little extra removal, I think, is what is called for this matchup. And this deck being able to play a Chalice for 1 with Counterspell backup is pretty impressive. Most Chalice decks that you run into are these mud decks, or they have to play a bunch of Ancient Tombs and City of Traders. They get these really inconsistent draws. Jonathan's deck is fairly stable and can push it through Disruption, which is really powerful.
I think, man, Chalice is really interesting. Cutting Vial for that is interesting, too. This is just a really different take on Merfolk, honestly. I mean, we're used to seeing Lord of Atlantis, Silvergill Adept, Curse Catcher, Master of the Pearl Trident. Those things are all standbys. For True Day Nemesis, sometimes they only play 3. Who knows? No Regeries here. You've got 2 copies of Sig River Cutthroat. You got 4 copies of Cozy's Trickster. I know a card that Greg Hatch is a big fan of. Then you've got 1 GTA4 Forces and 3 copies of Chalice of the Void. Sometimes you see a card like Spell Pierce. You see cards like Daze. None of those cards in here for Jonathan Aiken. A really unorthodox build that's clearly working for him this weekend.
And a lot more lands, too. I mean, he's going all the way up to...
That's 22.
22, much higher than the average Merfolk list.
Normally only 20 for them.
When you don't have Aether Vial, he's got to add some lands. 16 blue sources, 12 island, 4 cavern. So a little more than the typical Merfolk list.
No wastelands either.
Yeah, this deck is a much different take. I mean, once you don't have Daze and once you don't have Standstill, Wasteland maybe is a little more flexible. And Jonathan's clearly trying to do an entirely different game plan.
Delver Secrets, to begin things here. Aiken gonna draw a card, picks up a Cavern of Souls. See, the interesting thing here about Aiken's deck is he can play this game where he wants to try to resolve a Chalice of the Void, or he can just play a normal Merfolk game, which is actually pretty good against Blue Delver too.
Yep, and he has more blue sources to cast his double blue spells. Often Merfolk, with the 12 island build, if it doesn't have a Vial, it's just big trouble.
I always found that to be quite frustrating.
Yeah. You don't have Vial, what's the odds you draw 2 islands on time? It's not that high.
Dismember going to take care of the Delver. Going to have to pay 4 life to do so, but chances are it's worth it, as that Delver was not going to flip. Grim Lavamancer was to draw. Schneider looks like he's going to play Gataxian Probe, so he's going to go down to 18. Wants to see exactly what Aiken is working with. You're going to see a Cavern of Souls, among other things. 2 of them, Curse Catcher, Silvergill Adept, a Sig River Cutthroat, and a Force of Will.
Another pretty powerful hand here for Jonathan.
Are the fishies back? I do like the idea behind Chalice because it is so good against the Delver decks. And Delver decks are so popular right now.
I mean, the dream job of draw a Vial into Chalice is pretty intriguing for me, but... Your opponent also is going to be sideboarding cards in against you that do not work. I mean, people bring in, Pithing Needle to fight over Aether Vial. Now, Jonathan still has some Mutavaults and some Mistress Factories, but it's not nearly as good there as it is against conventional Merfolk builds.
Delver Secrets picked up off the Gataxian Pro cantrip. There's a Scalding Tarn. This is a second Delver there for Schneider. See if he wants to play the Grim Lavamancer, and the Grip also has a Red Blast and a Lightning Bolt. Pretty good hand here for Andrew.
Really powerful opening. I think he was hoping that Jonathan would go ahead and Force of Will this Delver of Secrets, which would allow him to Pyroblast back. Now I'm curious to see if Andrew wants to ponder or run this Grim Lavamancer into a Force of Will.
Gonna go with a Volcanic Island, searching up the non-basic as opposed to just a mountain. Something that Blue Red Delver has the ability to do.
And he can also just sit on his Pyroblast here and counter Jonathan's play next turn.
Just gonna get in there. Grim Lavamancer, great card against Merfolk. Almost worth the Force of Will alone. Looks like Aiken's gonna use it.
Has to be.
Gonna remove Curse Catcher. Curse Catcher isn't getting any better this game either.
It's a really good spot for Chalice of the Void.
True. Draw a card. Just a Silvergill Adept.
It's not shabby here either.
An uncountable one at that. Merfolk off Cavern of Souls. There is your Silvergill. Time to reveal. It's a Sig River Cutthroat. Time to draw. It's a Phantasmal image. Gonna pass the turn back.
It's a big flip for Andrew right now. Needs to start attacking.
See what he finds. He hit. There's a Spell Pierce. That'll flip. Spell Pierce, oddly enough, not that good against this deck. Not a lot of spells.
No, not very many spells, but it is very important Chalice of the Void insurance.
Ponder here. Gonna show you another Delver, Snapcaster Mage, and a Lightning Bolt. Good cards here for Schneider.
Yeah, pretty powerful here. He gets to take a Delver, flip it, and the Snapcaster is live even though he doesn't have a third land because there's a Gataxian Probe that Andrew played earlier.
And the race is on here. Attack for 3. Aiken gonna go down to 12. All of a sudden, we got a player who's on a 2-turn clock.
This is one of these fast Delver draws.
Aiken gonna take a draw. Picks up a copy of Force of Will, has another Cavern of Souls in the grip, can resolve all the Merfolk you'd like. I'm not sure that's gonna matter though. Attack for 2. Schneider gonna go down to 15. The follow-up. We'll see what this is gonna be. It looks like it's gonna be another Silvergill up. Gonna reveal the Sig River Cutthroat. Take a draw. It's an island.
And Andrew just keeps saying, yep, that's fine, yep, that's fine. None of this really matters. He has his game plan sculpted out already.
Gonna quickly untap. Yeah, gonna flip Lightning Bolt. You can tell he knows exactly where he's at in the game. He knows that he's basically in the driver's seat here. A 2-turn clock, as it were. Attack for 6. Gonna put Aiken down to 6. Has 2 bolts and 2 3/2 flyers. And Aiken's clock just isn't fast enough to keep up this game.
Pyroblast Spell Pierce too. I mean, he's got it about as good of a hand as you can ask for here.
One could say he has it all. Yeah, and he's just going to pick up the rest of his cards as Aiken, knowing that he is certainly beat here. Andrew Schneider going to tie things up very, very quickly as we're going to move to a third game here in just a moment. Really fast match.
Exciting stuff. And now there's a lot of pressure on Andrew to have answers to Chalice of the Void. On the play, he maybe can set up a draw a little bit easier that can fight through it or just get more stuff into play. On the draw, it's tough.
I wonder if anything's going to change. Schneider going to go back to the board. Aiken looks like he's pretty happy with this configuration. Really just an interesting take on Merfolk. I'm really interested about this. Maybe we can get him in the sideboard with Nick Miller. Sit down again. These are decisions that aren't on accident. Again, no vials, no wastelands. Chalice of the Void, 4 Mutavaults, which you'll often see. Some number of Cavern Souls, but he has 4. 2 Mishra's Factories, more land, Sig River Cutthroat. Really, really different, unorthodox build here of Merfolk.
Yeah, it's way out there. I've never seen any Merfolk list like this.
Well, you know what they say. You gotta adapt or perish.
It's true.
I'm definitely adapting here.
Chalice is one of the most powerful cards in Legacy. It's hard to put into good decks. That's the issue.
Yeah.
But Merfolk is a good deck. He is losing a very powerful enabler in Aether Pile, but the upside is he gets to have the draws that we saw in Game 1. Where he just pushes through a fast vial for 1, has a bunch of powerful 2-mana creatures in his hand.
And that's oftentimes enough to get the job done.
That's going to be enough against a lot of opponents.
Think there's any specific reason why Merfolk has just experienced a sharp decline?
I think Deathrite Shaman's pretty rough on that deck.
Classic Deathrite. Dudley Deathrite.
Just, Merfolk's all about leveraging early advantages, and Deathrite it's hard to do in the face of that card. Ben Lundquist complained to me quite a bit that he was struggling to beat that card when he was playing Merfolk, and he's had a lot of success with that deck.
That's true. Both players looking at their opening 7, they're really moving here. There's an island. And pass turn back over to Schneider. Gataxian Probe, let me see what you're working with. You see 2 copies of Cavern of Souls, a Dismember, a Master of the Pearl Trident, a True Name Nemesis, and a Sig River Cutthroat.
This is another tough hand for Andrew here. Keep in mind his deck has no copies of Wasteland in it, so he's not going to be able to stop Jonathan's Curve here. You can really only break this up with counter spells. That, of course, doesn't work in the face of these caverns, and this is going to be a fast True Name Nemesis this game.
Yeah, and an uncounterable one, too. That's the scary part. All these cards are uncounterable moving forward.
Is Sig River Cutthroat and True Name Nemesis a combo?
I can dig it.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It's Master of the Pearl Trident and any Merfolk a combo?
Yeah, but we've seen
yes.
that. We've seen that before.
Yes, it is.
And look at Andrew's hand. Andrew's hand kept a very removal-heavy hand. That's all well and good, but not set up to be True Name Nemesis.
Yeah, not against what Aiken's setting up this game. Schneider going to sacrifice Misty Rainforest. Down to 17 he goes. There's a volcanic island. Neither of these players with Wasteland in their deck.
You got to wonder how much Andrew even suspected that a card like True Name Nemesis was even a factor in it, Jonathan's deck. Haven't seen it yet.
There's a Goblin Guide. And we're coming across for 2. Give me a trigger. Oh, Kosi. We got a reader.
I don't know if Andrew's had to do this much reading at the 5-0 table before.
Good old Kosi's Trickster. That one's a delight, my friend.
Of course, capitalizing on the fact that many Legacy decks shuffle their deck over and over again.
There's a Cavern of Souls. And there is the Merfolk Wizard. Whenever a opponent shuffles his or her library, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Kosi's Trickster. You know the combo with that card?
Opposing Green Sun Zenith?
You nailed it.
Because they had to shuffle twice.
Yes, they do have to shuffle twice. We'll bring up Green Sun Zenith for you guys. Because Green Sun Zenith, yes, that's right. You may be wondering, really, is that true? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. I don't think it's been errated or anything.
No. There's some, it's been explained to me before that there's something technically correct about making the card work this way.
We make fun of people. We make fun of the old templating. Where's the new templating? Search your library for a green creature card, mana cost. Alex, put it in your library, then shuffle your library. Shuffle Green Sun Zenith in your library. Kosi's Trickster, you cast a Green Sun Zenith, 3/3.
That's a 3/3.
That's right.
So I do think that Andrew, in spite of all of this, is potentially sculpting together a winning game plan here. Getting a couple hits with this Goblin guy who's got a bunch of bolts and a Snapcaster Mage. He may be able to win this game while ignoring combat altogether.
Yeah, and probably ignoring Goblin Guy's drawback, too.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
But he's at least got a plan.
All you can ask for is a plan.
Yeah.
Truth be told, a lot of bolts. Yeah, a ton of bolts.
Grim Lavamancer,
too.
he's got some tools to work with here.
Can he work his way through True Name Nemesis, though? That's the question. Get that thing out of here. Attack for 2, a little trigger action. There's a Cavern of Souls. That'll go to the grip. Aiken's already got 2 of those. Let's make it a 3rd, shall we? That could actually be relevant if you think Schneider left in Price of Progress. I would be surprised if he did, but it could be a thing. Lord of Atlantis to draw.
Not impossible, that's for sure.
It's True Name time. That's not getting countered.
And he gives Andrew the little point. It's you.
Is it Goblin Guy time? It's Grim Lavamancer time. With a couple of bolts at the ready, gonna pass the turn back over to Aiken. It might be burnout mode now.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Grim Lavamancer makes this definitely feasible.
2 bolts. Aiken's at a basically 10 right now, but he can close the game quickly because that's what Merfolk does.
Yeah,
These
all the lords. Yeah, the lords. It's a lot of damage, and Andrew's not going to be able to block, assuming that Jonathan's able to get an appropriate amount of island walk into play.
There's Lord number 1 of many. Let's make it 2. True Name's now a 5-power creature.
And it's tough, even though Andrew has lightning bolts to interact with all this stuff. This whole game plan is predicated on him being able to, use the burn to go after Jonathan. So
Yeah, those lightning bolts want to go upstairs.
Yeah.
And they have to go downstairs towards creatures now. Gonna take care of the first Lord of Atlantis. The other one's gonna make it so the True Nemesis comes across for 4 points of damage. Schneider's gonna go down to 12. You can put him at a virtual 11 because that's Scalding Tarn. And Aiken's just gonna pass the turn back. So now Schneider's gonna go down to 11. And we'll see what he wants to do with his lightning bolt, if it's gonna go upstairs or if he's just gonna save it, if he wants to send it at the Lord.
And it makes me wonder, was Andrew even supposed to use a bolt there on a Lord? I guess maybe he just runs the risk of dying next turn if he doesn't.
He's going upstairs. Aiken gonna go down to 13. Yeah, I think you have to kill the first one. You have to slow down the True Name. That's a big hit you would have taken. Pyroblast the draw. Gonna use that to go there because he'd rather have Lavamancer go upstairs. There's a Goblin Guide. We're racing. 2 triggers. Chalice of the Void.
And that ship has sailed.
Yeah, oddly enough, it has.
Andrew can win what he has in play.
So Aiken's gonna go down to 9. The Grim Lavamancer activation will put him down to 7. Look at him go. Chalice of the Void the draw. Can Schneider pull this off?
It's going to be tough, but he does have several turns to work with here.
There's the Chalice for 1. That was the game winner in game number 1. It might not be this time, though.
There's unlimited food for that Lava Mancer. That's not going to be a bottleneck this game.
Looks like Kosie's Trickster, maybe. Ooh, Dismember. But that's going to, wow, 4? He takes 4, he goes down to, yikes.
Well, he's banking on the fact that this Chalice is a lock.
There's Trickster. So maybe what's going to happen here is True Name is on defense now.
And Kosie is uncounterable because the cavern against the Chalice.
Busted.
Jonathan may have stabilized this game. It looks dangerous, but he is banking on the fact that Andrew just cannot beat this Chalice.
Yeah, True Name, as good as it is, it also can just hang back on defense too. And I think you might be right about this now, because now there's 2 copies of Master of the Pearl Triad, but the creatures are bigger. They're swimming on islands.
I perhaps spoke too soon about the ship having sailed for Chalice of the Void in this game.
Oh, now look at this. True Name and Kosi are going to come in. This is in deck for 5, 6, 7, 8. What can Schneider do to get himself out of this? He's going to cast Snapcaster Mage. Now, this is very important here because he's going to target a 1-mana spell in his graveyard, and it's important that the Chalice of the Void, don't forget.
He's got to announce this.
Bolt you. All right, it's countered. Draw a card. Pyroblast. He says Pyroblast this. That's countered too. Hey, you gotta try. You gotta try. You gotta try. Kill that. Kill that. Nope. Nope. All right, you win.
That was quite the match.
Jonathan Aiken, 2 games to 1 with Merfolk. Got a high five to his friend because it looks like he's able to double draw into the top 8 now. 6-0 with Merfolk?
But not you can't say Merfolk like this is a normal Merfolk deck because it is not.